Today's video, I want to give you guys an update on a PlayStation 5 JRPG, a major one at that, being in active development right now. Also, we've got updates on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that ties back into the major JRPG in development. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads. And that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. But first up, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is now in active development. We've known for a long time now that yes, while the Final Fantasy VII Remake will be launching in March 2020, and it's been a long time coming. However, it is not going to be the entire game, rather the first third or so taking place in Midgard. It's a massively expanded version of the city, but we've been wondering when we'll start to hear about what's to come beyond those boundaries. It's probably going to be a while yet, but at least we now know that the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is in active development. Without an official name from Square Enix, we're just titling it Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 just because, you know, what else are we gonna name it? I don't know if it's gonna be a subtitle based on the context of that part. Whatever the case may be, official word has come from director Tetsuya Nomura that the team has turned its attention to the project as a part of a new article focusing on some of the development leads. Nomura says, quote, "We've already begun working on the next one as well, but I'm confident that playing through this title will expand your expectations just like the world that extends beyond Midgard." At this point, yes, while the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be released on the PlayStation 4, I think it's safe to assume that the second part of the remake is going to be a PlayStation 5 title. Maybe they'll do it cross-generation, but given the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 will be released in 2020, I would imagine that Part 2 wouldn't be coming out until 2022, 2023. If you guys want to use a comparison point, every part of the Final Fantasy 13 series came out 2 years apart from one another. So Final Fantasy 13 came out in 2010, Final Fantasy 13-2 came out in 2012, and Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13 came out in 2014. So a similar release schedule, given that a lot of the context of the game and a lot of the design elements have already been done. You would think it would be 2 to 3 years between each release. I'm more inclined to say 3 years because as these games have gotten bigger and bigger and more technically impressive, these games also have taken a little bit longer to develop. So I'm a little bit more confident in saying that it would probably be 3 years apart from every release, but who knows? I think 2 to 3 years is the timeline that we can expect, and given that timeline, if FF7 Remake Part 2 was released in 2022, at that point it would comfortably be a PlayStation 5 title. And with the PlayStation 5, it probably won't see massive visual upgrades. Like, it's not going to be an entirely different game because, again, the visuals have already been established. However, you can improve some technical elements, you can increase the resolution, the frame rate, whatever the case may be, because the PlayStation 5 is just going to have a lot more horsepower than the PlayStation 4, so they're going to have a lot more to work with. However, it's not like they're going to rebuild the engine from ground up or anything like that. Whatever the case may be, very excited to hear that Part 2 is in active development right now. And we are coming up on the release of Part 1 that will be coming in March of 2020 specifically. It'll be dropping March 3rd. Alright, next up, also talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, but this time working back to Part 1, which is out in March. The PlayStation blog put out an in-depth post about the FF7 Remake with a lot of new images and a lot of new information about the game. And this is coming from Brett Elston, manager of social media over at Sony, and he noted, for many longtime PlayStation fans, the original Final Fantasy VII was a groundbreaking, genre-defining experience. We're naturally eager to learn more about the fully reimagined Final Fantasy VII Remake, which dramatically updates both the gameplay and the storytelling of the beloved original. So when we received this latest batch of screens, we asked our friends at Square Enix if they could provide some context for a few of them. Take a peek at the captions below these screenshots, then browse the full gallery below. I'll leave a link in the description box below. They have a menu page with a bunch of different weapons, and it noted each weapon has its own unique weapon abilities that increase in proficiency the more they are used. When an ability's proficiency level reaches the maximum, that ability is then learned by the wielder and can be used when wielding any weapon. They also show the Buster Sword upgrade screen. Here we see Cloud's Buster Sword upgrade screen. The different options allow you to improve the wielder's status or increase the number of materia slots available. We see another menu page, and this one specifically highlights the different difficulty modes. There's easy, normal, and then of course classic. Classic mode can be activated by selecting classic from the difficulty menu. In classic mode, party members will act automatically with the ATB gauge filling up as they do so. In this mode, the player only needs to select which abilities abilities, magic, and items they will use their ATB charges for. This brings the feel of the gameplay closer to the menu-based battles from the original Final Fantasy VII, but with the amazing immersive graphics of the remake. It is also possible to revert to direct control at any time during classic mode by pushing buttons on the controller, so that's pretty interesting as well. You can switch directly from classic mode into the regular mode as well. The triangle button activates each character's unique ability. Cloud's unique ability is to switch between different fighting styles. He can switch between operator mode, which has a good balance between attack and defense, and Punisher mode, which is geared heavily towards offense. In Punisher mode, Cloud's movement speed is reduced, but his basic square button attacks are upgraded to even mightier blows. Then they also pictured Chocobos and Moogles. Chocobo and Moogle use their special move Stampede to run down the enemy with a herd of Chocobos. While equipping summon materia, you will be able to summon a powerful ally once the special summon gauge fills up. Summons will fight alongside you automatically on the battlefield, but you can also use your own ATB charges to have them perform special abilities. Just before they leave the fight, your ally will unleash a powerful special move, so bear that in mind as well. And they also noted assess materia that allows you to use the assess ability. When you use assess on an enemy, you can see their resistances and weaknesses, making it easier to defeat them in battle. They also have a darts minigame. You can play darts at the dartboard in 7th Heaven. And a couple of other pictures are showcased as well, showcasing some images of characters and a lot of other gameplay shots. Visually, the game looks absolutely stunning, and I know for a lot of you guys that are in the similar boat as me, I know there are some that don't understand the hype for Final Fantasy VII Remake and don't understand why this is one of the most iconic games of all time. Forget the fact that it's a JRPG, it is one of the most iconic games of all time, and now that it's finally coming up on the release of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, to me, it almost feels surreal. I mean, let's go back 15 years when the Final Fantasy VII demo was shown on the PlayStation 3. Did any of us really think that that would ultimately lead to a Final Fantasy VII Remake? Not even on the PS3, but on the PlayStation 4. It's a little bit funny how everything comes together, but I think this is the perfect time for a Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think commercially, it'll do very, very well. I just wish that Square Enix would make it abundantly clear to everyone involved that the Final Fantasy VII Remake was being segmented into multiple parts. It's something that they're still surrounding in a little bit of mystery to the casual audience. Yes, we've seen Nomura and all of these other people come out and say that the game will be multiple parts, but you have to make that abundantly clear in the promotion of the game, in the packaging, because this is the type of game where somebody that hasn't been hardcore into games for a long time, but they still have a PS4 just because, like, everybody has a PS4 these days, but they go into their local store and they see, oh, Final Fantasy VII got a remake on the PlayStation 4, they look at the images, they see the visuals, and they're like, man, I'm gonna go buy that game, but then they're gonna go play the game, they're gonna beat the game, and it's gonna end a little bit abruptly, and then what are they left to do? They're gonna be like, what the hell, this game is only part 1 of 3, and that means I have to spend $60 2 or 3 more times to get the entirety of the experience. I know to a lot of you guys are well aware that this game is going to be a multifaceted series, it's going to be a multi-part series, and you can imagine that there would be casual gamers that don't understand this, but I'm telling you guys, there are casual gamers that don't keep up day in day with all of the ongoings in gaming. Hell, I know people that literally bought Gears of War 5 for $60 not knowing that they could pay $1 for Xbox Game Pass because they didn't know that Game Pass was a thing. If people like that exist, you're damn right there are people that think that the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out in March is gonna be the entire game, or by the time they see it in the store, they're gonna buy it and think it's the entire game. You guys are only thinking about it from the viewpoint of, oh, I'm super into gaming, I know everything that's going on. Of course, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm gonna have to buy that game 3 or 4 times, and this version that's coming out in March is only gonna be the first part of the experience. Well, not everybody is gonna know that, and I wish Square Enix would do the extra mile in letting people know about that, because I do feel like come March 3rd, 2020, some people are gonna get duped, and it's gonna be more so from the casual gaming audience. Obviously, again, you guys are well aware of what's going on with this game. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is now in active development. Who knows if it's gonna be a PlayStation 5 exclusive title or if it's gonna be a cross-gen title. At the very least, I do think it's gonna be on the PS5. The question is it also gonna be on the PS4? By the time of 2022, a little bit long in the tooth to release PS4 games still. I mean, FF13 3 came out on the PS3 in 2014, and that was, what, 3 or 4 months after the release of the PlayStation 3. That's 3 or 4 months. With the Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, we'd be talking about a year, 2 years. That's a little bit longer of a stretch, but nonetheless, it is in development now, and new Final Fantasy VII Remake screenshots have come out. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.